Good morning. It is 6:23 a.m. on Wednesday, November 13th, 2019. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Woo! Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I'm a little bit tired this morning. I was wired and full of energy after last night's D&D game. I had fun stuff planned wherein the heroes of legend were going to get to essentially go on a all expenses paid Feywild vacation. And there was just a lot of character drama last night, which was amazing. But boy, I was on the edge of my seat just in terms of how some of that stuff was going to go. I've been invested in these characters for so long. And if you have not been following the show, which is fine, the we have had a long burning um, subplot where one of the characters has kind of very slowly and privately for a while been in love with one of the other characters, and it has sort of reached a boiling point, and there's just so much intense drama. It is insane. But one of the things that I want to just talk about briefly with that is that, as exciting as that is, I wanted to make sure that I was checking in with the players because I think games like Dungeons and Dragons are different for everybody, and not everybody's looking for the same stuff there or is coming from the same place, and you always want it to be fun. And so I was wanting to just make sure with the players that they're having fun and that this is something that they want, and so no one feels pressured, right? Because you could imagine theoretically that if one player decides their character's in love with another player's character, that other player might not really want to do that kind of story with their character, right? And then it kind of forces them into a position of either having to engage with the story like positively, like, oh, does my character return the affection or not? And then it's like either way, you're kind of forced to deal with it. So I think, it does strike me as important to check in with the players in that sort of circumstance. And certainly I've been doing that all along. And, so if anyone was worried about that, I can report that our players are on board. So they're good to go for all of that. But it was just very exciting, and it's some of the real pleasures of these really long running campaigns is that it just gives you the space and the time to have these characters develop a real history with one another, like you know you know characters discussing what appears like self-destructive behavior from another character, but then talking about, like, well, but you have to remember, he spent a lot of time doing this other situation, and we've been through so much since then, and it all feels earned and real. It's great. uh, in other news, so Disney Plus launched yesterday, and I hadn't really been following any of the news about it, so I won't say that I was like pumped or hyped or excited for it or anything necessarily, but I did just happen across one of those, like, here's what's on Disney Plus articles. And I was just looking at it and saying, that looks like a lot of stuff I'm kind of interested in. So I did go ahead and sign up. I watched a little bit. I watched a Pixar short, and I watched part of Fantasia while I was making dinner yesterday. And then I also watched the first episode of The Mandalorian, the new original Star Wars TV show. And I'll say that, like, the overall storytelling tropes were pretty familiar. Like the basics of what the story is all about, where it's like, yeah, they're not taking a lot of risks in terms of what kind of story they're telling. But I will say that the production values are certainly high, and they got talented people involved. And so yeah, so far I'm gonna keep watching for sure. So yeah, but also there's just like a lot of stuff on there, and yet I totally get how a lot of people feel, which is seems like there's a lot of streaming services, and at some point you're getting nickel and dimed with those $6 a month or whatever, But I mean, it can come down to just that whole fear of missing out thing, where there's so much out there. There's more than you can ever watch all of, or play all of, or listen to all of, and you kind of have to just choose. And the presentation of more things to choose from should be a good thing, although sometimes it can produce that anxiety of just, oh no, I feel like I'm falling further behind. So I'll certainly cop to sometimes feeling that way, at the same time that rationally I understand that's an extremely silly way to feel about it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.